basically, I was quite an angry young man. There's scars on my face from fights I got into when I was in school, when I was on the rugby pitch. There are scars on my knuckles. Not things that I'm proud of, but things that happened and things that made me who I am today. One of the key things that led me to channel my anger in more constructive manners was punk music. And I'm not talking about the Sex Pistols because they were very much far more narcissistic, far more kind of all style, no substance. I wouldn't even say they had that much style personally, because I was far more of a fan of this band with my presentation Never Loads. So there were a bunch of white working class boys who grew up in and around London. They grew up not far from Grenfell Tower in quite an ethnically diverse area. Okay? So totally different to me. It's like when I was in comprehensive school, there were 2 Indian kids there, and they were the children of the GP. The rest of my school, which was about 1,200 kids, were white. And yet, they have origins. Okay, from the start, it was clear to me that this was a band with something to say. They had passion, they had drive, and they were from, for me, they were just like me. They were angry, they wanted to say something, but I didn't have the context which to say it, and I couldn't figure out how I wanted to say it or what I wanted to say. They weren't the Sex Pistols, and that was obvious from the start. One of the earliest songs that I ever discovered, okay, I'm going to show you 30 seconds of this song. It looks ridiculous. Okay. Try to decipher the lyrics. Try to decipher what they say. Anyone get it?
White riot, I will rot my hope.
Yeah, doesn't that sound racist? White riot? Well, the first time I heard it, I had no idea what was going on. I thought it was something incredibly racist. So white people go rioting. It's like, yeah, no. So I looked into the song, and actually, what they're trying to say is that, because again, it's all that West London influence, it's all Notting Hill, it's all around Grenfell Tower, which we see today. And they're talking about inequalities within society. One of the first Notting Hill carnivals ended in riots. It ended on one of the ones in the 70s, which they were right about. There were black kids throwing bricks at the police. Now, I'm not encouraging that by any way, shape or form, but the police in London was a very difficult place at the time. Far more inequalities, perhaps inequality we see today. But what Joe Strummer was saying, the lead singer of the Clash, is that basically they had the courage, maybe that's the wrong word, but they had the courage to take control of their lives. They took control and they tried to do something about it, even though they went about it the wrong way. And you say, if that's what we, as white working class people, and as people need to do, okay? And for me, that was revolutionary. It was like taking control and trying to drive change through social action. And so, these guys had something to say. They were frustrated that them and their peers couldn't drive change, and they were trying, but they felt the inequalities within society. And this, I felt this acutely growing up in my context around people who, I mean, we've all got very different opinions on Thatcher in this room, and mine was going to be pretty much one extreme compared to the rest of them. But these were bands who had something to say, wanted to express themselves. When there were seminal albums of the past 30 years, and yes, I am slightly older than you guys, 30 to 40 years old, yes, 30 years old, yeah. Okay, was London's Calling, okay? And this was their seminal album. There was great tracks on there, critiques of society, just pure, honed anger and frustration, but done in such a positive way, done through music. Okay, speaking to hundreds and thousands of people and making them aware that things weren't right and that there were things worth fighting for in society. And this just caught my attention. Even though it was before my time, as I went through it. I mean, their influence, the amount of bands that they've influenced, the songs that they've influenced folks. I mean, I don't know if you guys. This is the baseline. Does anyone recognize it? Does anyone sound like sample flavor? One of the early incarnations of Fatboy Slim. One of the early incarnations of Fatboy Slim folks ripped off that bass line in a pretty major way. And it's going to sound, so they've gone from being an angry band to being a kind of seminal influence upon...
Swap jam, nitty gritty, you're listening to the boy from the big band city. This is jam,
seminal
this is
influence.
jam.
Fatboy Slim in the 90s. Okay, but literally, so many people use their samples. And you know, MIA paper planes? No? Okay, right. MIA paper planes, folks. Okay, that's another example of the Clash being sampled. I mean, these guys, for me, these guys changed the world, and they changed the way that music thought about it. And they, in particular, okay, they took cross-cultural influences. This is a traditional reggae song called Mr. Thieves, in this case, performed by Julian Mervyn. Again, bringing people's anger. It's a great song, by the way, they put a record on this. Okay, and so, what they did, on the Clash on one of their albums, folks, okay? Okay, this is their version of it, okay? Any musical musicians, listen to this, and there's 5 passages for anyone who can tell us what the key difference is between this version and the other version. What's the key difference, folks? You should be able to spot it by now. Any guesses? Musicians. Okay. Anyone know anything about a reggae beat? Exactly. A reggae beat is offbeat, okay? The snare hits on the 2nd and 4th beat on a 4/4 rhythm, okay? With the Clash, because they didn't want the cover, because they wanted to pay respect to reggae, okay? They did it their way. They interpreted it from a punk perspective and hit it on the traditional rhythm, okay? So even then, they're paying homage by not covering it and trying to put their own take on it. They're paying homage to it, okay? So forwards. I mean, these guys have had a big influence upon such bands as the Libertines, U2, Manic Street Preachers, who also coincidentally are from my hometown. Another angry band who feel class inequalities in particular. Talking Design for Life in particular is tribute to the working class of the modern generations. Unfortunately, Joe Strummer died in 2002 before I got the chance to see him performing with his band at the time, the Massive Heroes. The Clash broke up in 1986. Mick Jones went on to be a producer for the Libertines and also then worked with Gorillaz alongside the Clash bassist Paul Simonon. By the way, also, just let me see how far. Okay. 1 minute or 30 seconds, 1 minute. Okay, where's the album cover? This, ladies and gentlemen, is also, for me, this image is everything that I felt as a teenager and everything that was synthesized in one moment. It's a perfect moment of frustration. At the time, there was anyone hear The Who? Yeah? The Who always had a reputation of smashing their instruments at the end of a show anyway. Just doing it for show, it was tokenistic, it didn't mean anything. The Clash never did that, except this gig, where Paul Simonon, the bassist, was having such sound issues with his guitar, he just lost the plot. And his girlfriend at the time, famous photographer Penny, who I can't remember now, caught this photo from stage side before she got cut by a part of the bass guitar crashing into her. it's just a perfect synthesis for me for the frustration and everything that the Clash stood for, in the sense that they were there, plying their trade, performing their music, trying to make a difference, trying to raise awareness of inequalities. They were big proponents of anti-fascism at the time, and it's just them, perfectly synthesized them. I encourage you all to listen to it. If anyone wants to talk about top 10s, top 20s, top 10 songs to listen to, I'll direct you in the right way. Thank you very much.